Hello, good evening, everybody. It's the Poetry of Painting time again. So this week we're being joined by Markey Mark Symmonds, who has been absent from the show for a little while, but we would like to give him a big welcome back. So let me just bring him onto the screen. Hi,
Hi,
Markey
everybody.
Mark.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. And yourself?
Good. Yes, not bad at all. Thank you. It's been
Good.
a very busy August, and I thought September would be a bit quieter, but it's looking like it's going to be a really busy September as well. But that's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun and
Yeah.
very good fun. So
Right, good.
So have you been writing much poetry apart from one for the painting this week?
No, I haven't been writing a lot at all. My head just really hasn't been around it for quite a few months now. And that's why I've carried on doing the keep wanting to call it joy of painting. I keep thinking about the guy who used to do all the paint. The poetry of painting. Because what it does is to look at the pictures. It just stimulates something, and I can. It makes me have to do it because I've got a deadline to meet. But also it stimulates my brain and it makes me look at what I want to try and get some of that poetic stuff out. And it's quite good actually because it kind of took me down slightly different routes. So that's quite good.
Oh, good. So, yeah, I think sometimes you just need that little bit of a kick to get going on something, that when you're in a bit of like a doldrums and, having that little nudge to get you going and hopefully get you back into it again. So
yeah, that's right. And I lost a lot of confidence as well, because I've not been performing and much and that. So it's been quite difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
I mean, the last time I was due to perform, I wasn't well anyway, so it ended up not being able to go to there again. So it's
yeah. Well, I'm very pleased we've got you back on the show and with a
pleased to
new
be here.
poem. So
Yeah,
yes, so the poem this week is based on a painting of mine, which I don't have the original, it's sold, which I'm pleased to say, which is called In Full Bloom, and I can put that on the screen. So there we go, and that's all you knew about it, the title of it. And I can tell you now it's a local lavender field to here. In fact, well, it's more local to where I was living, but not far from here, probably about 25 minutes drive at most. And it's in an area that years back was a major lavender growing area up around sort of Carshalton, Wallington area in Surrey. And this is an area up there, and it's a lovely place. And the name of the lavender field's just gone right out of my head. It'll come back to me, and I'll give them a little plug online in a minute. But yeah, it's a lovely place to go, and you can walk around, and in fact in the summer, because they get these beetles that eat the lavender, they'll give you a little pot so you can walk around and pick off as many beetles as you can see as you go around.
Yeah.
So using humans as insect gatherers or
that's a good idea.
Insect preventers, whatever.
Yeah.
So
great though.
Yeah, so it's a lovely place, and the smell obviously in the summer is just absolutely wonderful from it. But for me, I do find if I'm there too long, it makes my eyes start to sting and to run. It must be something to do with the oils coming off.
I would think it's a very, very I would think that it's probably that, and it's not a great place if you've got a hay fever. I would think it's horrendous.
But Mayfield lavender. Sorry, I've remembered it. Mayfield lavender.
Yeah.
And they've also got a little cafe there and things as well, which is rather nice. So if you're in that area, it's a nice place to go.
Yeah, have a look.
So I will hand over to you, Markey Mark, to tell us about your writing and to read us your poem in whichever order you'd like to do. So
okay, I'll do a bit of both actually. So I looked at this and it was quite interesting to do, because the thing that grabs me about the pictures straight away is lines, straight lines.
Mm.
And that reminds me of soldiers lining up. So I wrote it from that perspective. So here we are, it's called In Full Bloom. Like soldiers on parade, they stand to attention, row upon row, straight backed, not bent or bowed, just lavender, straight lines up the field. They grow, sweet, musty, pungent smell. Purple heads perfectly formed against the backdrop of autumn gall. Stone cottages split the line. A picture, postcard, so divine. Colour and lines pull your eyes as far as they can see, while memories of gypsies giving out bunches of good luck charms wrapped in foil. Roots left in the soil to grow another year. A dance in the spring, in the yearning of bygone years, and another line of soldiers' plumes look so fine. Then cooks garnish and mix with food. This versatile plant coming on parade, purple plumed soldiers come into full bloom. And that was it.
Well, lovely. Oh, that's lovely. And I love the way you got about the cooking in there as well. Have you ever had lavender ice cream?
No, I haven't. And
Really nice.
it's so versatile. I mean, obviously, it's one of the things that, you know, potpourri was the real big thing that it was used for. But lavender candles, yeah, lavender ice cream. There's so many different things they can do with it. It's also medicinal as well, I think, lavender. And it was used.
Very, very calming as well. Lavender oil, good for if you can't get to sleep.
I think it was used a lot during the Victorian times, and that be to get rid of the smell. It obviously, because they didn't have proper sanitation and things like that, so it was heavily used to mask the smell, not just of lavatories and houses, but of people as well.
Yes.
Because obviously they didn't have the proper facilities to bathe and things like that. But yeah, so that's what it conjures up for me, and not, you know, I have memories, although this isn't Norfolk, I have memories of going to Norfolk Lavender,
Right.
and I mean, there's just swathes and swathes of this stuff, and it sits in rows, in lines. It's, you know, it's almost like being on procession in when they're trooping the colour, and you've got all the lines of military, and they're all, you know, that's what it conjured up to me straight away. There, and with the background, it looked quite autumnish as well. And yeah, so it conjured, and I have fond memories of walking through the town centre, and you'd have gypsy ladies or ladies pretending to be gypsies who would give you a little bunch of lavender wrapped in foil, and it was supposed to be a good luck charm. You know, it was even better luck if you parted with a couple of quid as well.
Yeah, I bet it was. But,
even better if it was a fiver. But you know, so it brought back those memories. And it's one of these plants that you only ever see it in bloom, or you only ever notice it in bloom.
It's still there, you just don't notice it.
Yeah, you know, so you know, lavender's purple, it's in bloom. It's a bit like rapeseed oil, you know, you instantly know that. And if you drove past the field and it wasn't in bloom, you wouldn't even know it was there.
No, absolutely. By the way, Chris says, lovely poem, and he's never had lavender ice cream. Well, I think we might have to put that right.
Yeah, you'll have to take him for lavender ice cream.
Indeed. Oh, and he also says the Norfolk lavender fields near Heacham, a lovely place. So maybe that's where
right.
you were. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And you know, and I mean, the gift shop down there, I mean, everything, they sell everything lavender, you know, from stuff you put in your drawer to make your clothes smell nice, to candles, to, you know, sweets, you name it, they do it.
Yeah, and lavender plants as well, probably, like Mayfield do. They sell plants as well. So
yeah, that's right.
But I think there's quite an art to making sure that you prune it properly, and you know, at the end of the growing season, to keep it from getting all leggy, and you know, to keep it flowering for the next year. And you know, otherwise it can get very leggy and woody, and so you need to learn to keep it trimmed back, and how far to trim it back. Otherwise, if you trim it back too far, you kill the poor little thing as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine it's like heather, really. It just grow like wildfire.
Similar, similar.
So yeah, and you can see by the uniformity of these, you know, they're all a certain height.
Yes,
and there's a certain distance between them, and things like that. So
I guess they're probably cut and pruned by mechanical means. You know, because to do it all by hand, it's a huge field.
I'm not sure. If I remember rightly, and it might just be unique to Norfolk lavender, but if I remember rightly, when we went to Norfolk lavender, we asked about this, and I think they still hand cut theirs.
Okay.
And I think it's done with sort of traditional hand scythes and things like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I think they traditionally cut it.
Well, I might be wrong about Mayfield on that one as well. Then maybe, you know, I haven't actually asked them. I haven't been there for a little while, so I must find out. How they do that. But I know that after a certain number of years, they replant a section of the field.
So they regenerate
plants coming on. But a bit like vines, you know, it's the same with those. You know, they get pruned back hard at the end of the season or during the winter, and then the new shoots are trained out to bear the fruit for next year, and so on. But after a certain number of years, I think it's quite a long time with vines, because you see some of them, they've got quite hefty trunks on them. You know, they need replacing as well. They don't go on forever. You know,
no, that's right.
A bit like people, you know, they go on for so many years, and then you need to, well, hopefully we don't just replace people like that, of course.
No, that's right. And if I remember rightly, lavender is extremely important for the ecosystem, because they're another one. These, obviously, because they attract bees and stuff like that. They're a pollinator. And so they're actually really important for local areas, pollinate other plants. And I've got a feeling it's lavender that they sometimes use orchards and plant in orchards, because they're great. It's great for the apples and things like that.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't know that bit.
I might be wrong, but I seem to, in the back of my head, something seems to click in about that.
I'm sure you can get lavender honey, you know, if the hive is near the lavender field, there must be lavender honey, which would be nice to try that. You know, just I'm sure it'd probably be a fairly subtle, you know, flavour of the lavender, but I don't know, maybe it's not.
I don't know.
Interesting to try, wouldn't it?
It depends how they make the honey. I mean, it's like ordinary honey. When it's very runny, it's got preservatives in it. But when it's true traditional honey, it's thick and it doesn't run.
No, like set honey. Yeah.
So it's probably the same with the lavender. It depends on whether they've added other things to it, or whether they've just used neat lavender and you know, and honey. But
I don't remember having runny honey when I was little. I only remember having the set honey. So you know, you use a spoon to get it out, put it on your bread. Then you'd actually got to start spreading it on, you know, onto your bread or your toast or whatever. It didn't run anywhere. You know, it was just.
And you used to have to scrape the wax off the top.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
Scrape the wax off.
Oh, right.
So. But,
interesting.
I mean, you do with fresh honey. If you've got fresh honey from a hive, and you use it, you often have to scrape the wax off the top.
Yeah. So. Beeswax. Yeah. Wow. all these interesting things. You know,
Yeah.
maybe we
I
should
mean,
have a show all about lavender and honey.
yeah. Well, the other side of that, going back to the soldier thing, is about thinking about the plumes that soldiers have in their berets and their hats, and of one description and another. And it's surprising how many regiments have a plume that goes in their beret of some
Yes.
description.
Yeah.
You know, the household cavalry in one of their uniforms actually has I forget what the plant is that actually comes down the back of them. Then you've got others that have just got like a small thistle or something coming out of their beret and that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the association with plants and wild fauna.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
It's and of course people. I don't know if they do it so much now, but you know, it used to be very common to have lavender bags in your drawers. You know,
yeah,
keep your
yeah,
clothes smelling fresh and
yeah,
wardrobes and things. So I
yeah.
don't know
That's
if they
right.
were much good at keeping moths away, but I think that's more
Um,
cedar wood and stuff, isn't it, that they
yeah,
use for that?
yeah,
But
more mothballs. I've got a feeling though, did they keep mice out?
oh,
I've got a feeling that in the keep there is something else other than there is something that it does keep away, whether it's spiders or whether it's mice or something. There is something it does keep away.
if it's
Um,
spiders, I want a house full of lavender.
yeah, yeah. Like I sit in the middle, live in the middle of that lemon
Oh,
field.
there were two the other night in the bedroom. Sorry if people don't like spiders and they're listening to this, but um, there was one on the wall. It was at night and it was a bit stormy out. And I thought, oh, maybe they've come in because of that. But evidently, house spiders die if you put them outside. But
Yeah,
anyway, there was this thing. Honestly, it was enormous on the wall.
yeah,
Oh, couldn't bear it. And then the same about 5 minutes later, I found another big one on the floor.
yeah.
I didn't want to sleep in there that night.
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
just,
it's a
oh,
completely rational fear.
I know.
I mean,
Well,
I've got two arachnophobics in the house,
they can
and
bite even in this country.
well, yeah,
They're not
they can
venomous,
bite,
but
but
they can
they
bite.
won't do you any harm. I mean, the main one that
No.
bites is the false widow,
Mm.
and they won't do you any harm. I mean, unless you've got an absolute allergy to them, they won't do you any harm.
I know,
They're more
but
frightened of you than they are, and in fact, they're really good because they keep flies down. They're actually very good to have around.
I tell you what, these two didn't look frightened in any way whatsoever of me.
No,
So
no.
Chris
But
said
that,
Fiona the Terminator.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a wee slipper. But yeah, well, I suddenly realised actually that all this advent of technology is not good. It's helped the spider population because now we haven't got newspapers that we can roll up and well hell out of them, right? And I wanted something the other day that was a spider. I thought I'll get him from, hang on, I haven't got any newspapers in the house. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like I can't eat it with my Kindle. You know,
No,
I
not
can't eat,
really.
can't eat with my iPad, and that.
Oh,
So
dear.
yeah, I use a slipper or a shoe or something. But yeah,
Oh,
they are completely harmless, and they. I mean, not like if we were living in America or Australia and that, where
yeah,
you've got
I
really
know.
venomous stuff
I know. I
out there. We
just,
haven't got any.
no.
Well, we haven't got any. We haven't got any native to us. I mean, unless somebody
Mm.
releases the tarantula, but even then, in the outside environment here, they probably wouldn't survive anyway.
I know. I know their place in the ecosystem and all of that, but I still can't. I'm all right with little ones,
Yeah,
but the bigger ones, no, I just can't get over
yeah.
them. I
I,
like snakes, healthy respect, unless I know it's non-venomous, whatever. But I like snakes, happily pick up a snake, hold it. Lizards, things like that, no problem. I don't
yeah,
like slugs particularly because they're
yeah.
slimy, but I'm not scared of
Well,
them.
salt's
You
the
know,
best thing.
moths, beetles,
Yeah,
mice, rats, obviously I don't want wild ones in the house or
No,
anything like
no,
that, but
true.
you know, a pet rat, I'd very happily hold a pet rat,
Yeah.
or mice. I had mice when I was little, pet mice. But no, there's the one thing. Wasps I don't much like because they can be a bit vicious and nasty.
Yeah,
But
wasps
I'm
are
not.
just vicious.
But
Bees
yeah,
will only sting to defend themselves
yeah,
and
yeah.
defend their neck. Wasps will just do it for the fun, you know.
It does seem that way. No, I
Yeah.
don't like
So the
wasps. But,
hornet.
oh yeah, yeah. We
They're
don't
the
want to
ones you
mess
got
with
to watch, the
hornets.
hornet. I mean, I know my dad got stung by a hornet, and his whole hand swelled up. You know,
Ah,
really had a reaction to it.
yeah,
But yeah, you got to be careful with them. But
yeah.
yes, I mean, we're quite fortunate is that we haven't got much that will kill us in this country,
No,
animal wise.
no,
And there's a few things that
absolutely.
are held in private collections, like tarantulas and things like that. But they probably wouldn't even kill you, but the venom wouldn't do you a lot of good.
There's
But
one
our
sort
most
that,
venomous snake is our
yeah,
most venomous snake is the adder,
yeah,
and unless you're marooned in, out in the wild for a week, and the venom can eat through your skin, it's you're not in that much danger with it. You
no.
can normally get to an anti-venom fairly quickly.
And there's not many of them. Let's face it, the poor things. They're not very numerous. So the
No, because
chances. I think I've seen one in the wild once
yeah,
on all my
yeah,
walks and things. So you
yeah.
don't get to see many of them
No,
anyway.
and most of the bites from adders are through people standing on them. They're
Well,
not
you can't
through.
blame
They're
a
not through
snake for
vicious attacks. They're
no.
just because people haven't seen them and they're walking along. They stand on it and the thing bites them.
Yeah, can't blame the
So
snake for that, can you?
no,
Really, someone
no, not
stands
at
on
all.
it. So
No, not at all. So
no, no,
it's
we're very lucky not to have a lot of poisonous, nasty things over here.
yeah.
But yeah, I still don't like them. Sorry, spiders are no go in my
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Just,
I mean, my wife and daughter would agree with you. They're both arachnophobics.
but it
So
is irrational though. I mean, they are so
yeah.
small in comparison with us,
Well, and they're
you know,
harmless. I mean, that's the
and
other thing. They are harmless.
but they move
You know.
fast and they hide and they,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah, but
just.
so does you. But Usain Bolt moves fast, but everybody loves it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know what you mean. It's this fear of them running up your leg or something like that, isn't it? And you know, um,
Horrid,
but
horrid.
yeah,
I don't. There must be some, because there's so many people that hate them. There must be something going back in history. Maybe there used to be poisonous ones over here
oh
or
yeah, I'm
something.
fairly sure they
So
were.
it's
Yeah,
it's it's almost like it's inbuilt into a lot of people. Because I don't
yeah,
remember any incidents when I was young where I was given a fear of spiders by something that happened. I don't
no,
remember a time when I didn't feel afraid of them. So,
no,
it just maybe it's an evolutionary thing, and
yeah,
we just
maybe,
haven't got it out of our system yet. But mm,
yeah,
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 not
maybe.
good.
Yeah,
But
maybe it's just something that most humans have got, and it regardless of where you live, and
yeah,
it's one of these mechanisms that was put in place to keep you alive. Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
the
yeah.
fight, flight, and freeze, and things like that. It was there to keep you alive. Um,
Mm.
you know, so
So,
who knows?
well, enough spiders. Let's move on
Yeah,
from spiders. So, any events coming up around you
really,
sometime soon?
the main one is the 16th of September. At
Hmm.
the Bardic Picnic at the racecourse in Northampton. Um,
Right.
this is where we choose our the Bard of Northampton,
Oh,
and the only real qualification is that you have to live within a day's walk of the town centre.
oh, right.
Um, so that gives you quite a good scope of areas around that people can come into. However, if you don't want to go into the Bardic competition, there will be all sorts of bits going on. There's craft stalls. There'll be food and drink. There'll be a marquee that'll have music going on all day and spoken word and poetry all day as well. That's not competition poetry. And that, so yeah, and the theme this year for it is for the Bardic is space, in all its shapes and forms, however you want to interpret that. So
right.
And normally what you normally do one piece on the theme, one piece on why you want to be the Bard of Northampton. You normally get about 10 minutes for each. They're quite strict on time. And then the third piece is a piece of your own. And that's open to what you want to do.
And whereabouts is it held?
At the racecourse in Northampton.
Sorry,
that isn't a racecourse.
Yeah.
Which isn't a racecourse. There's no horse racing goes on it now, but in years gone by there used to be.
Right.
So if anybody knows the White Elephant, it's right near there. So it's there from, I think it's from about midday onwards. But if you look up Bardic Picnic on Facebook, all the details will be on there.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, get involved. Come and and even if you don't perform, just bring a picnic along and just chill out and listen to some music, listen to some poetry and stuff like that. There's vegan food on and that. So yeah, it's it should be a good day.
Fingers crossed for good weather.
Yeah. And all what's interesting as well is on the main stage, the main Bardic stage where they do the actual Bardic competition is all run by solar power.
Oh wow, that's good.
It has its advantages because you have to be done by a certain time at night, otherwise you don't get the solar power. You see, so things move along pretty quick. But yeah, it's nice. It's quite environmentally friendly, and there's something for everybody really. And you just chill out, and you can get a coffee, and I think there's likely to be a bar there or something. And so it's right, pretty much in the middle of Northampton. So yeah,
sounds like fun. Yeah.
So if people fancy that, and come along and cheer people on, or or just sit and chill and listen to the poetry, and
good.
And because the outgoing Bard of Northampton will be there, Chris Matheson, who's they serve for a year, and that. So and each Bard brings something different to their bardship and tries to make a difference and and develop poetry locally. So
good.
It's although it's a tradition thing, it's worth pursuing.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what have I got coming up? I've got Kingston a week on Saturday, weather permitting. Last one, it was forecast to be wet in the afternoon, and it was very wet at one point in the afternoon, so we decided not to do it. I've got an exhibition at Parham House, which is in West Sussex, with about 7 other people, which is rather nice. So that's the 2nd and 3rd week, so the 2 middle weeks of September. And then we've got some other exhibitions to prepare for October, November time. So lots going on again, and also another challenge that's going on. I can't actually tell you much about that at the moment, but the challenge of working in different ways within a group of us, working in ways that the other artists would work, and they work in the way that I work. So it's all going to be really good fun. And that's as much as I can tell you about it at the moment.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
So
that sounds very good.
Yeah, it's already being fun. Yeah, absolutely. And a bit out of your comfort zone, which is always a good thing. Change is as good as a rest, sort of thing as well. So that's been good fun. But and on that note, before I say any more about it, because I I'm not allowed to. We are just about at the end of our time already. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you so much, Markey Mark, for being back on the show again and
Thank you
writing
for
some
having
more
me.
wonderful poetry. And hopefully you'll be back on the show fairly soon. Oh, and the other bit of news, I'm actually going to start doing the show every 2 weeks instead of every week. So there won't be one next week, but there should be one the week after. So, oh, Chris says thank you. Thank you, Chris. Take care, everybody, and hopefully see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, Markey Mark. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.